Hey everyone, this is Alan over at Cobblers Plus. Today we're going to be working on a pair of Dansko sandals. I just want to make this video so that more of you kind of understand the process of actually repairing a damaged tow bar like that. There's most flip-flops, they're not worth doing. I mean, technically even these aren't worth doing, but it's a model that's no longer available, and the lady that brought them in, she really likes them quite a bit. But I just wanted to give you an idea of the reason why it's mostly not worth it is because the process, it's a bit of work. It's not an easy task. So we'll go ahead and get started. The way we're going to do it is, of course, we're going to undo the strap here up top, and we're actually replacing both of them because the second one here is going. But we're going to have to undo the footbed from the sole itself, and it's gonna probably take a little bit of work. We're gonna start out by adding just a little bit of turpentine in there. It's gonna help deactivate some of the adhesives for us just a little bit. And we get in there with our heel pry. It's just a curved tool, kind of like this here. It's not too sharp on the end here. I mean, it's sharper than a screwdriver would usually be, but not quite as much as, say, a blade of any sort. This tool just allows us to reach in there and start prying things open a little bit. Now, this is a bit of a tedious process, so I'll go ahead and fast forward this part. So we've got that opened up, and I'll just show you real quick on the inside here. Now, here's that strap right there, and I don't know if you can really see or tell, but there's a little notch grooved out right there, and that's where the strap lays, so that it's flat and you don't feel it under your foot. Now, we quite literally, it's easier if I put it on here, quite literally just pull it up, use some needle nose pliers. Alright, and this one looks like it's split off into kind of like a T shape. Oh man, come on. There we go. Alright, there it is. So that's the tow bar itself, and then it flattens out these two directions there, so it sits right under your toes and holds everything in place. And you can tell, it took a little effort to open that up. Now we're setting that one aside there, and grab a little razor and just undo some of the stitches here for this other tow bar section. Alright, so as you can tell, it's just a piece of nylon left at this point. Usually it's a nylon with a leather wrap like that there. You can see that one's gotten a little busted up, but the new one that we're going to put in there is going to be fairly similar, but a lot more durable than what this one is. So clean up some of this fraying in here. Okay, all right, there we go. Now it's ready to have that piece inserted in this portion here. Now I'm gonna do this other one off camera. It's gonna be the same exact process, so I'm not needing to show you guys everything, otherwise the video is gonna get too long. But when I get back, we're gonna end up matching up the strap, putting it into place here to stay there long enough for the adhesives, because we got to hold it down long enough for just adhesives to hold it in place, and then stitch it and get going. So I'll see you in a second. Alright, so we're back here again. I've got the second one apart here as well, and there's the piece. This one was more intact, so we're going to use this one for our measurements and everything to make sure we get as accurate as possible. Now, I didn't have any kind of strapping that was in this kind of color or anything. It's kind of a taupish color, and one that's also the same width, so I'm going to have to make one. So I've got a lace here, and we're just going to basically use this sheet of leather here that I've got and make our own strap. Sometimes we have to do that. You know, sometimes we can get straps in that are the same width. Sometimes either we're out of stock or our suppliers are. In this case, you know, I'm out of stock of this particular width of strapping, and they also don't make this color too. And I like to try to get as close as I can. So there we go. There we go. Got our crude lace there, or strap there so far. Just gonna tap it. Okay. Now I'm gonna trim this up after I stitch it so that I don't trim it too short on accident in a certain spot. So we're gonna go over to our stitch room and stitch this guy up. Alright, so we're over here in the patch room. Turn my hat around so you can see it. Yes, I know it's messy in here. My sister does the workload in here, and it's kind of her room. I'll just knock my stand a little bit. Sorry, I'm making a wobble, but I've got it on this big old stand. So basically, this is a Clay's patch machine. It's got a long arm on it. Now, there are some patch machines that will definitely make this job a lot easier, but at the moment this is the best I've got to be able to stitch this guy up. Okay. It gives you an idea there of what it looks like, all stitched up and everything. Alright, so we're going to go back to my room while we do the repairs, so I'll see you guys there in a sec. Alright, so we're back here again, and we're just going to cut off all this excess here. Now at this point, I have to flatten out the lace a little bit this way. So as you can tell, there's the stitching. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but I have to flatten it out the opposite direction of what it's going with that stitch there, because it's gonna go inside here to be stitched, and we don't want a giant chunk sticking out. Now I'm gonna take some super thin super glue and just put a little dab right there. Press down on it, and it helps bind up those nylon stitches so they don't start to come undone on us. Now, stitches are locked stitch, so they shouldn't really easily come apart, but you know, it definitely helps just in case to secure that. Okay, make sure, see how it fits in here. All right, cool. Cut off just a little bit of excess here. Use these scissors. Yeah, little scissors don't work. They usually work on leather pretty good, but because this leather is so soft, it's wanting to stretch out instead. Alright. There are tools usually to cut these that makes it easier, but you know, we're using such a small section. If we're using a much longer or large piece on a single strap of some sort, then we definitely want to cut it as evenly as possible. But because this is just going into a tow bar area, it's going to work out just fine. Alright, so I've got a little bit of rubber cement in there. Make sure I put it in the right way, like that. Okay. Alright, I got my little clamp here. Clamp it on down and just leave it there. Usually rubber cement we allow to sit and cure for a little while, but well, dry actually before we stick it all together. But that's kind of a tougher spot to get into, so I'm actually going to do that and cut off a chunk, do the same thing to the other shoe and let them sit overnight. It's kind of late here anyways, so I have to get going. Wife's expecting me home soon, not to stay here too late. But I'll go ahead and get this going and leave it overnight, let it all cure and sit, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Alright, so it's the next day. I've got these all glued up and everything, the glue's set. So we're now just gonna stitch across this area here. Back to our stitcher right there. Okay, got that taken care of. Alright, so that strap is now stitched in and it's going to be nice and sturdy and hold up for a good period of time. But we'll go ahead and move on now to the next room, back over to the main room, and get working on these some more. We'll see you there. Alright, so we're back here in the other room now. We've got everything stitched up, and now it's time to put the strap through here. Grab some needle nose pliers there. Now, actually, before I do that, it'd be a good idea if I just trim that at an angle a little bit, kind of trying to make this a little bit more of a point, because it needs to be basically forced through this hole here. And you know, we can try to force it quite a bit, but when you got a little bit of a tapering there, it makes it a lot easier and safer without damaging anything. Now I did mark this strap up with just a little dot of black there, just to know where my stopping point will be. So right there. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of glue. This is equivalent to basically super glue, but it's formulated for leather and rubber materials like this. Oops. And this is just to hold down the strap long enough for me so it doesn't move around too much. And of course I am trying to lay down that strap in that same crevice there that had the old original straps in it. Okay, and that glue dries really quickly. All right, now at this point I'm just going to take my rubber cement now. Now usually we try to clean up this area here, but there's a little bit of cork still attached there from the original glue, and I'd prefer to use that actually as our base for this rubber adhesive to bind to nicely. And you know, usually removing old factory glues is important, but none of the factory glue is actually showing that much. There's quite a bit of cork that's still showing, and that's what we're gonna use kind of like a primer in our base to have the adhesives just really stick to nicely. All right, we've got that second one taken care of now, and we're going to give it about 15 minutes, actually about 20 minutes to dry a little bit, and when it's ready to stick them together, I'll see you guys back over here. All right, so we're back here again. We allowed these to dry for a little while, and grab my heat gun over here. The heat helps activate that adhesive just a little bit better and makes it easier for us to work with as well. And we're just going to heat it up just a little bit. Now we can't heat this up too much, so like I can't put this into our oven just because that cork will end up warping significantly from that much heat. We just need to warm it up just enough. Line everything up. Okay, there's the first one. Now you can see there's some excess glue there. We'll clean that off in just a second. We'll get the other one stuck together. Now a lot of times we'll stick things like this on our press, but this particular model, just because of the way that the sole attaches to the footbed, we don't really want to set it on the press too much. You know, applying some pressure with just the hammer is plenty good on it, and it binds very well. Now at this point we'll just double check to make sure how everything's holding up with that tow bar. Seems to be pretty good. And then we'll take our crepe bar here and just go through and clean off some of this excess glue. Okay, there we go. All that glue is gone. Alright, I'm going to run this over to the buff real quick. Give me just a second. That's a horsehair buffer that I just used. It's just kind of clean off any excess dust or whatever, but there you go. You get the idea. That's how we usually do the tow bars. Now you can kind of see the whole process of it. It's not a simple one, definitely, just because it takes a bit of time and effort into taking apart that sole and replacing that tow bar, and a lot of times fixing it. Sometimes when when you have your tow bar rip just up here, and if it's still intact, we can just end up restitching it. It's no big deal, but majority of tow bars tend to rip right down here closer to the footbed, and at that point we have to take it apart. So I just want to really show everybody so you understand that this process, it's not very easy to do sometimes, and that's why in some cases it could get very costly to do just a single tow bar sometimes. It's all up to you whether you decide you want to do it or not, but if it's a nice expensive pair of shoes, or like in this case, these shoes, they're a fair price, but they're not outrageously expensive as some you may come across possibly, but it's still one of those shoes that Dansko had made at one point and they discontinued it, and they have a habit of doing that. They make a model, discontinue it, and don't bring it back. And it's all up to your decision, whether you want to continue wearing these shoes, or if you just want to get rid of them and invest that money towards a new pair instead. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope gave you some information on tow bar repairs. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, or give us a call or stop by if you're local here in the Denver area. Otherwise, you can always also ship your shoes in if you need to. Just go to our website, CobblersPlusCO, and under mail-in orders, follow the instructions, fill out the PDF file, and ship them in to us, and we'll give you a call and get started on the repairs for you. If you enjoyed this video or any of our other ones, please subscribe. I'm trying to get around to making more and more of these videos, so you kind of get an idea of how things are done here at our shop, the process it takes, as well as some instructional videos for things that you can do at home yourself, kind of like a DIY product testing as well, side-by-side comparisons too. And we'll see you next time.